Hey folks, how's it going? Coach Danny here from the Basketball Coaches Academy. And today we are going to be looking at 3 basketball plays that all teams should have in their playbook. Now, really with these plays, they're more, geared toward youth basketball teams, whether you're, elementary, middle school team, whatever you may be. But they're 3 very different plays that you can add to your playbook. And, personally, I think, each of these plays should be added to your playbook. We're talking about plays that can get you easy layups, plays that can get you a shooter open, and even plays that can be used as a bit more of a system with continuous movement. So check out these plays. There's 3 of them here. Let me know if you've tried any of these or if you'd like to add them to your playbook. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is a Horns basketball offense. Now, there are many different ways to run a Horns basketball offense, but I'm going to show a way that's kind of easy for teams of all age groups. You can see younger teams do this because it has just kind of the basic movements involved with basketball, but you'll see older teams do this because it is complicated enough to that, it will get a player open, whether that's for a shot or, for an easy layup. So let's take a look at this specific Horns play. Now, a lot of Horns basketball plays will start with some sort of entry pass to the post, but we're not going to do that today. We're actually going to use our 2 kind of bigger players on these 2 spots on the elbow that you'll typically see in a Horns to set screens for other players. Okay, so what we're going to do is have number 4 set a good hard screen here for number 2. And number 2 is somebody that you're going to want to be a shooter, right? Number 2 is going to be ready to shoot the ball. So they're coming off that screen around the 3-point line to receive the basketball. If this is a younger team, maybe you can make it a little bit tighter and maybe a little bit closer to the elbow. But generally speaking, they're going to curl for an outside shot. So number 4 is going down to set that screen for number 2 for an outside shot right there. So that's our first option, right? We can have that easy option here to number 2 for a quick, 3-point shot if we have a good shooter there. In addition to that, number 5 is going to come set a ball screen here for number 1 with the basketball. And then that's going to be a pick and roll right here. Number 1 will have the basketball. Number 5 will roll to the rim, right? So we have a few options here right now. And that's the best part, in my opinion, about this Horns play is that you have your pick and roll happening right here with number 5 and number 1, right? So that's kind of your situation in the key. If we do get a double team here that goes to the basketball here for number 1, you're going to have a few options. You're going to have a kick out option here for number 3. Potentially, you're going to have number 5 rolling. So if their player leaves them, you could hit them with a pass, right? Additionally, you're going to have a player out here that's potentially going to be open as well if they're still open at that point, but they will be open at least in the beginning when we are reset. So again, there are multiple different options here, right? We can hit this player in the beginning as well, like I said, for the jump shot. But you have a few different options here. You have kind of 2 shooters. You have the potential to swing the basketball here with number 4, and you have the potential to hit somebody on a pick and roll here between 1 and 5. And not to mention the fact that you also have the layup opportunity for number 1. So let's reset it again and look at it a little bit more into full speed. So we have our point guard right here with the basketball. We have our 2 kind of post players right here, our screeners right here in the kind of Horns classic spot on the elbow. And then we have 2 wing players here on the side of the floor. Now, again, how this starts, number 4 is going to come set a hard screen here for number 2. And number 2 is going to curl off that screen, hard to look for the basketball for an outside shot. As that's happening, number 5 is going to set a screen here for number 1. And we have a pick and roll situation right now between number 1 and number 5. Number 5 is going to roll to the basket, and number 1 is going to take it to the rim. Again, we have a few different options here right now, right? Number 1 can drive to the basket. They can look for number 5 for the pick and roll, right? If we get number 3, if their player leaves them and kind of comes in for a double team here, you also have a kick out option right there. And you also have a few kick out options, especially number 2, who just got open from that pin down screen. So a couple different options on this Horns play. Like I said, it is easy enough that we can run this with younger age groups, but there are enough options here that you can run this pretty consistently with older age groups as well. All right, so we are going to look at an elevator basketball play used frequently by the Golden State Warriors. Now, one thing you'll notice with elevator basketball plays is we often try to find the same result in them, which is finding an open 3-point shot, but also, allowing some sort of play to get to the basket, right? Really, you'll look at teams use elevator plays the most when they have a strong 3-point shooter. So this play that we're looking at today is used by the Golden State Warriors, used by Steve Kerr in his playbook, obviously because they have Steph Curry, who is a very strong 3-point shooter, right? So it makes sense that they like elevator basketball plays. Now, you don't need to have a strong 3-point shooter to do this. You can move it in if you are a youth team, or you can use the ball screen option. But we'll take a look at it and see, what's different in the way that the Golden State Warriors run their elevator style plays versus other teams. Okay. So actually what they have, when they do this play, is they have their shooter as number 2, not necessarily their point guard, right? So they have their shooter as number 2, which is typically the case with, elevator plays, but we just want to reiterate that point. That's going to be our shooter. Okay. So this is our point guard right here, somebody with the basketball. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to have happen in this particular play is we actually want to get the ball into one of these players that are set up in kind of a horn style formation. So let's try to get the ball into number 5. Number 5 is going to kind of post up and pop out a little bit. They're going to receive the basketball. Okay. Now, what's going to happen after that is number 1 is going to want to see the courts. They're going to want to pivot so that they can view the entire court over here. Okay. Now, what's going to happen then is number 1 is going to go set a down screen here for number 2. Okay. So number 1 is going to go down, set that down screen here for number 2. Now, number 2 is going to curl off that screen. Now, if for some reason we get, an open lane for number 2 to drive to the basket, let's take it. Like if that is there, which, sometimes it might be, sometimes it won't be, right? We're going to take it. Okay. But if it's not there, okay, what's going to happen then is number 1, after they set that screen, is going to sprint back up here. Okay, so number 1 is going to sprint back up. We're going to feed number 1 the basketball. And then what's going to happen is number 2, right, our shooter is going to complete that elevator action. So number 5 and number 4 are going to then kind of squeeze in for their screens, right, as we know, right? And then we get our elevator action here to number 2 for the basketball. Okay. Now, another option that we will have here, right, is to get number 3 involved in some way. Okay. So here to get number 3 involved, we're actually going to have number 3 sprint to this end of the floor. Okay. We're going to have number 1 set another down screen here on number 3. Number 3 is going to curl. And then what we can have happen actually is 2 pin down screens up here, or 2 on-ball screens rather, for number 2, right? We're going to get a pick and roll going. Number 5 will roll with them, right? We have a pick and roll between number 2 and number 5. Number 4 can stay nice and wide. Okay, so that's just a little backup option there. But the main thing that the Golden State Warriors run, we'll look at it again here, is our shooter down here, right? We have our 3 over here. We have our elevator screen formation right here, right? We're going to get the ball into number 4. We're going to go down and set that down screen here for number 2. Number 2 is coming off the screen. Can they look for it? Okay, great. If they can get it, but if not, we're going to feed the ball back up here, right? We're going to have number 2 continue to cut. This is where we get our elevator screen, right? Number 2 is coming off that. We're going to receive the basketball up here for a shot, right? But if not, we have some other actions that we can get number 3 involved in, right? Particularly them sprinting over here, right? We get that down screen. Number 3 can pop up, right? And then we got this double screen here, right? They can really go whichever way they want if they want to drive it to the basket. So this is what the Golden State Warriors run in terms of their elevator screens. Pretty cool, pretty complicated at some points as well, but it really just ends up in that same result of your typical elevator screen play, which is that we get, some sort of wide open 3-point shot. Hold on one quick second, coaches. Before you go anywhere, I've got a couple free resources waiting for you from the Basketball Coaches Academy that'll take your practices and take your teams to the next level. First off, grab your complete guide to the continuous motion offense, which breaks down exactly how to teach your players to play the game, not just run plays. You'll learn what continuous motion offense really means, proven drills to build it, and how to run a motion offense continuously. We have lots of different things in this guide. We have video demonstrations, we have diagrams, we have descriptions, everything that you would need. If you want your athletes to develop real basketball IQ, this is the starting point. The second item that I have for you is the 5 must-have out-of-bounds plays for all ages. These are game tested sets that you can run with youth or high school teams. We have baseline out of bounds, we have sideline out of bounds, all free for you. They're simple to teach, tough to guard, and each play includes clear diagrams and coaching points so your team stops wasting possessions. And lastly, I have the practice plan template. This printable practice plan template is the exact layout that I use to organize and plan every practice session. So you can plug in your warm-ups, skill blocks, team drills, and scrimmage notes so you can walk into every gym with a clear plan and zero guesswork. So I have these 3 free items for you. You can claim them using the link in the description. They'll be sent to you right away. Enjoy. All of our players playing outside of the 3-point line. Pretty self-explanatory here. We're playing 5 out, so 5 players outside of the 3. Now, the whole goal with the 5-out offense is to have your teams basically continuously moving without the basketball. We don't want anybody with a 5-out offense standing still, and that's really the goal of it, right? Through either screening or cutting, eventually somebody is going to get open for the basketball, and that is the message that you want to portray to your teams when you teach a 5-out. So let's get into the specifics of what we're doing here with our 5-out. So again, I mentioned before, we want all of our players to either screen or cut, and that's going to be the option that we continue to preach. So let's say we can start with getting the ball 1 pass away. We can pass from number 1 to number 3. How number 3 would get open, we'll talk about that in a minute, but let's just start off and say, hey, we can get the ball to number 3. Our option then for number 1 is to either screen or cut, right? As soon as the ball is out of your hands, you need to screen or cut. Okay, so let's say number 1 cuts for the basketball. They're going to cut, hands up, right? A big thing to preach is making sure you're given a target, hands up for the basketball. Ideally, we can get the ball to number 1 there for a cut to the basket, maybe an easy layup. But let's just say that doesn't happen. Then we're going to fill, right, away from the basketball, and then everybody's going to move up and fill a spot. 2 goes up to that original spot that number 1 was in. 4 moves up a spot. 1 continues their cut to the 3-point line extended, and now we're reset back into a 5-out. Okay, as you've seen, when I had number 2 move up top to the 3-point line, they came in the key and popped out. That was their cut, right? So they just cut. They were not standing still. As they fill the spot, they cut for the basketball, which means chances are they're going to get open right here. So now we're reset again, right? We want our players to either screen or cut. Okay, before we go into what number 4 and number 3 will do, let's just say we can swing the ball over here to number 4. Right, so just then on our first pass, we had the player at the top of the 3-point line cut. Now let's say they screen. So number 2 is going to come over here now and set a screen for number 3 rather than cut to look for a pass. So number 2 moves to set a screen for number 3 right here. Number 3 is coming off that screen, and now they're looking for the basketball, and we are reset into a 5-out. Now, when they come off that screen, if they see that there might be a lane here to the basket, they can take that lane as well and look for it. It all kind of depends on where they're at in the game and how to read and react. But that's the whole thing with the 5-out motion offense, is that you're going to get multiple different situations that could happen. Right, so now let's say the ball goes back up top to the 3-point line. What does number 4 do, and what does number 2 do after they make that pass back to reset the ball up top? Well, the same rules apply, right? We want number 4, number 2, these players up top, or whoever they are, whatever number they might be, to do the same thing, right? Either screen away or cut. So how can these 2 players screen? Let's go over those options. So we can set a down screen here, right, for number 5 to come up to the basketball, right, and receive it right here. Then we go into our 5-out motion offense. Okay, another thing that we can do is have this player cut toward the key for the basketball, right, with their hands up looking for the ball. Maybe they can get a layup right here, something easy like that. Maybe they can, continuously move, and then number 5 can get open that way, and then we're back into our 5-out motion offense. There's multiple different ways you can go about it. Same thing with number 4, right? So the ball is right here. Number 4, instead of standing still, they can cut and look for the basketball. Maybe that's an easy layup, or maybe number 2's defender leaves number 2, right? We dish the ball off to number 2, whether that's in the dunker spot or at the 3-point line. Right, so there's multiple different ways we can go about it, but let's reset and go into it full speed again. So number 3 has the basketball. We don't want anybody standing still. So how are these guys going to get open? They have to screen or cut. So let's say they screen, All right, we have a down screen here. These two players come up. We get the ball moving. Right, we're going to look for the basketball on that cut. If we can get it to them, great. But if not, we continue to fill. Right, everybody's going to continue to fill, continue to fill, continue to fill. That ball resets, right? Okay, can we get open? Are we open right here? No. If not, let's cut to the basketball and look. Maybe we get an easy layup right here, right? So the 5-out offense, it continues to move. Everybody's filling a spot. Everybody's filling a spot. And through that continuous movement of everybody cutting or screening, eventually you are going to get an open layup or an open shot for one of your players.